Good morning. So, welcome back to my bedroom floor. We are gathered here today to talk about all of the things that my brain ate in the month of February, because it's now not February anymore. So, first things first, when it comes to things that I watched, the first thing I watched that I want to talk about was I watched Hairspray, and I did watch the new one. And I gotta tell you guys something. This is my confession. I'm confessing so you can't burn me at the stake for it. I haven't seen the original. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. I'm so sorry. It's just, you know what? That time hasn't come yet. That time is coming. It's just not right now. I watched this movie because I had this yearning for John Travolta, specifically John Travolta as the mom going, Tracy Turnblad. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta watch this and get it out of my system. So I watched it. I'd already seen it, but I hadn't seen it in years. And that movie makes some choices. I thought it was a cute movie. I also think that it was very much, when you talk about camp, that's a good example of camp right in your face. I think it kind of unfortunately has this damp cloud over it where it's supposed to be a movie that's talking about like race and things like that. But then you've got Nikki Blonsky starring at it, and we all know that she was acting a fool at that airport. Nikki, you know what you did. And it's hard to watch that movie now because of that. You were supposed to be different. So that was kind of hard. But all in all, it was fun. It was fun to have a little night where I was like, ooh, I'm going to get my hairspray on. The next movie I watched after that also is kind of funny because James Marsden was in Hairspray, and he also was in Sugar and Spice, the movie about the cheerleaders who robbed the grocery store bank. And that movie's so cute. I think as far as like 2000s like girly movies go, that needs to get mentioned. That movie, when you're having a girls' night, you need to watch that and Drop Dead Gorgeous. Puzzle pieces. They go together. I will not elaborate further on that. It's just such a good movie. It's so fun, and they're so like down for their friends. I love that. I love people who are just like so devoted to each other that they're not going to let the teen mom go broke. They are going to help her. So I liked that. And now let's talk about something I didn't like. I watched that movie, The Neon Demon, which that was that movie that it has Elle Fanning, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's The Substance before The Substance. It pretty much is. It's one of those movies that plays off of the fears of women getting old and aging and not being relevant. And that's really messed up because those movies hurt my heart. But I eat them up every single time. But it's one of those types of movies. My only thing with this movie is that I felt like sometimes I was almost watching like a music video or maybe like more performance art. And I don't think that was bad. I just think it like kind of had tendencies where it went on a little too long with things. There was points where I was kind of like, okay, I get it. There's enough flashing lights. Like, stop it. You're hurting my eyes. So as far as the story goes, I didn't hate it. It's just, I think I'm learning about myself that I have kind of a weird relationship with movies like that. So it wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't, am I going to watch it again? No. Would I recommend it to people? Probably not. Probably not. I'm sorry. All right. Next thing I want to talk about. I did watch that America's Next Top Model documentary. All right, so here's my relationship with America's Next Top Model. Imagine me in middle school, young and awkward in a small town. Nobody likes me and I'm not cute. And I find America's Next Top Model. I loved that show. I loved that show not really because of like modeling per se. My thing when I watched that show, the thing that really got to me was everyone was so like fabulous. I was obsessed with the Jays. I loved Andre Leon's Hallie. Like I loved how those people were so much themselves. They didn't care. They were unashamed to be who they were. And that for me was the turn on. Obviously, I liked watching like the challenges and I liked the photo shoots. I always liked to see what the photo shoot was going to be because I loved how creative they were. That was something I really liked. Growing up, I obviously like watching the show later on. I was kind of like, ooh, Tyra, you were torturing those girls. And my thing is that when I watched that documentary, there was so much of a lack of accountability. Like truly, there was a lack of it from all sides. I think Tyra she just kept saying, oh, you guys wanted it. And to be fair, That is a sentiment I can agree with. I think we live in a culture now where it's anything for views. And I don't think that started with like Vine or any like short form content. That didn't start there. It has always been anything for views. And I think America's Next Top Model was no different. But I also think we could have gone about things a different way. But that's not what happened. And you know, hindsight is 2026. So it is what it is. I think that I don't know what I wanted. I went into that being like, yes, you know what? They're going to hold Tyra accountable. Tyra's going to pay for her crimes. And then I watched it and I was kind of like, what did I want? Did I want them to just essentially be like, Tyra, you were a terrible person the entire time? No, I didn't. I was kind of like, okay, you know, like we don't necessarily, while what she did was terrible, like what did I want to see? Did I want to see a witch hunt? Maybe the drama part of me did, but there's a part of me that's kind of like, okay, you know what? They talked about it. I do think it's absolutely horrible, especially what was that? I believe that one woman's name was Danielle, who Tyra clearly could have helped her and given her opportunities, and she just didn't. I think it's a thing though where it's like, okay, the documentary came out. What now? You know? So I don't know what I was really supposed to really take from that. But I do remember just absolutely loving the show when I was younger, and it kind of gave me confidence. But also watching it as an adult, I was kind of like, ooh, we didn't need to be doing all the crazy things that we did. And I feel horrible for Shani, who had to have her trauma essentially played out on TV for everyone to see, and everyone like coming up to her and essentially ruining her life over it. That is so messed up. But I also think like for me now, like, I don't know where we go from here. We put out the documentary, people tell their sides of the story. Is that where the story ends? Is there supposed to be something, some sort of compensation? I don't know. But I did watch it and I liked getting the behind the scenes. I thought what Tyra did to the Jays and Nigel was absolutely cruel. So it's very much a double-edged sword. On one hand, I loved seeing these people in their element, being who they were. But on the other hand, I do think there needed to be like some accountability, although I don't necessarily know what that looks like. So yeah. Moving on to something completely different. Lost on Venus was that weird book that I found at the thrift store for like $6. And it originally cost like 33 cents back in its day. So inflation, why are you doing that to me? It was a book by Edgar Rice Burroughs, he also wrote Tarzan. And I was not that into it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Is sci-fi my thing? Not really. Like, we'll take a dip. We'll explore, we'll swim around, but I don't really gravitate towards sci-fi. And also there was a lot of like names for different like animals and aliens and things like that I was like, I can't keep track of this. So it wasn't bad. I just didn't necessarily like love it. Also, there was some stuff that was kind of eugenic-y, I was kind of getting like a eugenics thing from it, and I looked it up, and apparently Edgar Rice Burroughs had some questionable views, and I was like, oh, well, I can see it in the writing. So I don't know. I would need to dive more into that to really talk about it, but it just wasn't my favorite. I am glad that I read it, but I'm going to be honest. I think the gothic pulp novels are more my vibe. They are so over the top and so dramatic, and that's more fun for me versus like the thing with Lost on Venus was it was very much we almost died, but we didn't. But we almost died again, but we didn't. That was the entire book. I'm tired of y'all's almost dying. Why don't you like either die or don't? Figure it out. Next, I watched that movie Legend from 1985 with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. I love Tim Curry. Beautiful movie. Absolutely beautiful movie. Was very emotional when watching it. At the part where, spoiler, if you haven't seen it, at the part where the unicorn loses its horn, I cried like a bitch. I was sobbing. I was inconsolable. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if something was hurting my heart that day, and I just sobbed for like 10 minutes straight. And then I recovered, but I was tearing up. I also think visually, what a beautiful movie. I liked how everything was glittery. I saw some people online being like, why is everything sparkly? Because life is meant to be sparkly. That's why. So all in all, I really like the glitter that they had. I thought it was just really beautiful. I enjoyed it so much. And now we're going to talk about something else that's beautiful. So Dracula 2026, the one that came out that had Caleb Landry Jones. Beautiful movie. I loved it. Okay. I saw some people being like, it's a bad movie. They made changes. You're entitled to your wrong opinion. I liked it. I liked how they really focused on the like romantic aspect of it. I thought that the lead woman who played Mina, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God, I was very struck by her when I saw her on screen. I was so in awe of her beauty. I just really was. And I was kind of doubting Caleb Landry Jones for a little bit. I haven't seen him in a lot of things, so I kind of was like, I don't know. He's got some big shoes to fill because everybody's always talking about like the Dracula from the 90s with Gary Oldman. And he gave me something different. He did a very different take, and I actually really liked it. I thought visually it was cool. And yeah, there were some changes that I thought were kind of weird, but I also thought they were very artful. And the costume design, oh my gosh, this was a movie that had beautiful costume design. Everything about this one was very like beautiful. And I think that's one of the things that I am kind of falling into when it comes to the movies that I've been watching lately is sometimes is story important? Obviously, yes, but sometimes I think it's okay to also just watch something for what it is and become very enamored by the beauty of it. I think it's okay to just watch it for that. You know what? It's not the ocean. Not everything has to be that deep. Are there a time and place for things to be deep and we go swimming? Absolutely. But you know what? Does a 2026 Dracula have to be that deep? No. And I left the theater crying because it was so beautiful. Next, I want to talk about What a Way to Go, which I actually just made a video about that. What a Way to Go from 1964. If you want like a Hollywood fashion history lesson, you need to watch that movie. The looks, I mainly watched that movie because of the fashion. I'd seen it in like aesthetic edits all the time. The backless dress, the pink wig and the pink dress and the fur. Gorgeous, gorgeous movie. That was why I watched it, but I actually ended up finding it to be really funny, which for me, I think sometimes when we watch like older movies, like movies from the 60s and stuff like that, sometimes I think we don't necessarily like appreciate the humor because it's not the same as what we're used to now. But watching it, I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute. I had a really good time with that one. So if you guys want something like that, because I know people like to talk about like Monroe movies and things like that, but if you really want to see some fashion, highly recommend What a Way to Go because you're going to be looking at like 72 different looks in one movie, which incredible. And now the honorable rewatchables. I actually only have one this month that I want to talk about. So I watched that movie. I rewatched it. I've seen this movie a million times. I rewatched The Love Witch from 2016. I like watching that movie when I'm in a mood to see something that is whimsical and colorful. I believe that they did shoot this in Technicolor, and something that I need like my eyes get hungry. My brain gets hungry. My eyeballs get hungry. I needed to eat. I needed to feast upon something beautiful because I think when I see things like that, it helps bring me back to my own personal creative element where I kind of get inspired. And that's why I like watching like old movies especially. I love movies because of how much they inspire myself. I watch them, yes, to relax and unwind, but at the end of the day, I am wanting to see something that's going to sit in my brain differently. I'm wanting to see something that's going to feed me differently. And I rewatched The Love Witch just because I was hungry. I was hungry. I needed to eat something, and my brain really was like craving that. I think some people criticize the story, but I think the story's good. I enjoy the story because it is kind of, some people say that it's ironic. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I really like the idea of her kind of doing all of these spells to get men and then it not working out, because I like to see movies where the woman is kind of the one in control. It's the same reason why I like Jennifer's Body. I like to see women doing what's what. And I loved the fashion in that one. I heard that the director, Anna Biller, made like all of this stuff herself. Which, oh my God, that's incredible talent. So that's another movie where if you want like kind of to really enjoy some fashion, I really recommend that. So yeah, that was everything my brain ate this month. It was a good month. It was a lot of 10s. I think in January, I think I was kind of maybe a hater a little bit. So we're switching things up and it's been good. So have I consumed anything this month? No, because it's only like the second day of March. But I'm hopeful. So I will see you guys next time when I talk about more things that I've been eating in my brain. Will it be crunchy? I don't know.